Hi everyone, thanks for joining the training session. So this is going to cover off the Litera Metadact application, and what we'll be going through is the Outlook add-in and the Metadact desktop application. Now the Outlook add-in is really what we're going to look at the most here, because that's where users are really going to interact with Metadact. So within Outlook, we get a Litera ribbon, and what I'll go through what these buttons do, starting from cleaning on up to this zip feature. In fact, sorry, up until this about feature, and anything else to the right is actually Change Pro. So we won't be looking at these buttons here. But I'll go through all of the Litera Metadact buttons, and then we'll take a closer look at what they will do. So starting with cleaning on and off, and just to let you know, all of the, before I go into more detail, all of these buttons are entirely customizable. So it may be that you won't want to enable some of these buttons in your environment and users won't see all of this. And actually that's probably most applicable to the first button here, cleaning on. So if I press that, you'll see that everything becomes grayed out. So we've effectively disabled Metadact. When emails get sent, they won't get cleaned. And of course, this may be a risk, and a lot of firms opt not to allow this feature because they don't want users to actually to turn off cleaning and then forget to re-enable it, and then cleaning is kind of left disabled. But if you do want to enable this feature for users, then that button will allow users to turn cleaning off. So moving on to the next button, cleaning on. So we can enable alerts with Metadact, and the alerts are really related to track changes and comments in documents. So that's in Word and Excel, and in PowerPoint we don't have track changes, but we have notes and comments, and they are generally more sensitive types of metadata. So when users generally send emails out, they'll want everything clean. They'll want the author, the created by, the date it was last amended, and any sensitive data like track changes and comments, they'll want that metadata removed. But sometimes they'll be collaborating with somebody outside of the firm on a document, and in those circumstances, they may want to leave track changes and comments so that that document goes back and forth, and those comments and changes can be visible to both parties. So, so what we can do is enable alerts so that a notification pops up when the email is sent if track changes or comments are detected, and users are then given an option as to whether they want to accept those track changes, leave them, or delete the comments or leave them. So it's a really useful feature if users send documents that sometimes they'll want to leave track changes and comments. And of course, if they're quite happy with their settings, maybe they always want to remove those track changes and comments, and they don't want to be alerted, then this allows them to turn off those alerts, so the emails just get sent and cleaned accordingly. We can also clean metadata from attachments while we're drafting up a document. We'll take a closer look at that in a bit. Here we can select profiles. So we've got default, high and low. They're the out-of-the-box cleaning profiles. And the default profile comes with the general recommended settings. So I'll move on to this section that we've already kind of touched on. So these are for alerts. So we've got alerts for Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. And what we can do, they're just shortcuts for changing the default cleaning action. So if you, for example, always knew that you collaborated with somebody outside the firm and you always wanted to leave track changes and comments, then you could set that here to always leave those track changes and comments. I'll just set them back to what they were. And we can do the same for Excel and the same for PowerPoint. So that's the alertable metadata. Finally, we have options to convert to PDF or to PDF-A. We can secure those PDFs as well. So we can set a password to open the document, or we can set a password for specific actions like printing or copying. So this is a really useful feature. And we can also zip the attachments and give that zip file a name. By default, it's called attachments.zip. And then I'll just click on this About button. So we've got a really useful feature tucked away in here called Sensitive Data Handling. And this does is it gives us options to avoid general kind of day-to-day, easy to make email mistakes. And of course, a common one is replying to all. And you know, this will help you accidentally reply to all and maybe sending an email to the entire firm. So you can set a threshold here. So by default it's 5, but you can change that to any number that you want. So for example here, if we reply to all and there's more than 10 recipients, we can get a warning to you know, let us know we're sure we really want to reply to all. We can also set alerts for if we're replying and we're a BCC recipient. And so this really helps to kind of avoid these common pitfalls with day-to-day emails. We can also prevent sending to specified domains or email addresses. We can be warned if we send to specific domains or email addresses. We've got a really useful feature here to split BCC recipients. So if you're sending an email and you want to include a BCC recipient, this feature will split that BCC recipient off so they won't see who all of the other recipients are. So it just means that when they receive that email, they can't accidentally reply to all when they're a BCC recipient. So that's a really handy feature. And finally, we can add classifications to emails. And so that's adding a banner. You can add your own classifications, and you can add a specific email address as a carbon copy recipient. So that's what we call sensitive data handling. And I'll just cancel out of here. And now we'll actually go through composing an email. So I'll bring up a new message and I'll attach a document, if you just bear with me. Okay, so here we have an attachment, and I'll head across to the Terra tab, and here we can see very similar buttons to those that we saw in the main window, but there are a couple of extras. We get the cleaning on and off button here. Now, some firms choose to disable the cleaning button on the main window to prevent users permanently disabling Metadact, but leave it enabled on the message window. So this enables cleaning to be turned off for an individual email, but just for that email and not for other emails. So that may be quite handy to leave there. We get cleaning options, and when we bring this up, it just shows any metadata that in the cleaning profile we've selected that we can change. And also we get other options here, another option to convert to PDF. Now, a really useful feature is analyze metadata. So what we can do is start that up, and we can actually get a really detailed view of the metadata within a document. So we're immediately presented with this status bar showing the risk level. That's color-coded green, amber, and red. So we can see we've got some risky metadata in here. And if we drill down, the first section really just shows us statistics, so number of words and characters. But what's more interesting is if we look further at the metadata detected, and again we get this color coding, red, amber, and green, to show us where the risky metadata is. And we can see we've got 22 built-in properties here. We've got comments, track changes, and if we drill down deeper into the detailed report, we can actually see what that metadata is. So we can see who the author is and last saved by. So that's all metadata we'll want to have removed. We can actually look at comments themselves, and we can look at track changes to see the actual insertions and deletions in the document. So it's a really detailed view of the metadata. So I'll just close out of that. And we actually get an option to clean and reattach as well. So while we're drafting up a document, we can clean it on the fly. Here are the alerts. So track changes and comments have been detected. I'm going to accept those settings, and we're going to clean the document. And here we go, it's reattached. And if I just click on Analyze Metadata again, we'll see that metadata has actually been removed. So we can see that the risk level is now green. That risky metadata has been removed. This is just the default created date that we see here. We can see comments have gone, track changes have gone. So we know that email has been cleaned. So it's quite reassuring to get that detailed view on metadata in the documents. Now I'm just going to close this email, and I'm going to compose a new one because that email's been cleaned, but I'm just going to attach a file again and actually go through the process of sending an email. So if we head back to the Terra tab, we'll accept these default settings. So a lot of the time, once you're using Metadact, and you're happy with the settings that you have, you won't have to come into the Terra tab. You just compose your email as normal, click send, and Metadact will just kind of do its work. So here we've got the alerts. We want to be alerted if there are track changes, and if there weren't any track changes or comments in the document, we wouldn't get this alert. So I'm going to click OK and accept those, but we can change them if we wanted to. And here we get some other options, and we can clean and review. That gives us an analysis of the metadata before it was cleaned. We can clean and send, which will be generally what users will want to do, or we can skip. So that will send the email without cleaning. I'm going to click clean and send. So that email gets cleaned and then will be sent on to the recipient. So that's it being cleaned, and that's it, it's sent. So, excuse me. So that's sending an email, and that's the process is very, very straightforward, and you'll only see that track changes prompts if there are track changes and if you want to be alerted. So that's sending an email. I'm just going to start a new email. And I'm going to attach more than one document here. Okay, so another really handy feature of Metadact is Attachment Manager. It's a really useful tool, so I'm just going to start that up and show you what we can do with that. So one thing that you can't currently do with Outlook, it's really handy, is we can rename attachments once they're attached. So I could call this document 1 and document 2. And we can clean as we go along. I'm just going to untick this, apply and reattach. We'll see we have document 1 and document 2. If we go back into Attachment Manager, some other really useful features, we can change the order in which the attachments are shown. So this again is a really useful feature. I'll apply and reattach. And here we can see the orders change, document 2 and document 1. I'm just going to change that back to the order that it was in, document 1 and 2. And then another really handy feature that we have is we can add security, so set a password to those documents, we can convert to PDF, or we can add our attachments into a binder. So I'm just going to click that now. And if we click on Manage Binder, and what that does is it combines all of the documents into a single PDF. So by default, it's called binder.pdf. We can add a password. We can add a cover page to it if we wanted to. I'll just add a cover page here. we can add a table of contents and a separator page. So I'll show you exactly what that all looks like once we've created our binder. So I'll save that. I'll just untick clean metadata again and apply and reattach. And here we go, it's inspecting it, then converts it to PDF, and then it'll bind it. So if we open that document up, and here we change that. So here we have the cover page that I added to it. Of course, this is all optional. We added a table of contents, and you can see it's taken the names of the original files, and we can get a shortcut to go to those documents. So here's document 1. We added a cover page to this document. This is optional. We don't have to have this cover page. If we scroll down, we get that first attachment, and we get the second attachment as well. So a really useful feature there. And that's Attachment Manager. So what I'll do now, I'll close this email and I'll head over to the, so before I move over to the Metadact desktop application, any questions at all on the Outlook add-in?
No, all good, thank you.
Great, thanks. Okay, so I'll start up the Metadact desktop application. And really what this is useful for is if you're wanting to clean a document and share it in any other method other than email. So you may want to upload documents to OneDrive. You may want to share documents by USB. So this lets you clean those locally saved documents or documents you might have on your DMS. So I'm just going to add a file. It's a very similar ribbon to what we saw in the Outlook add-in. We can add a document. We can analyze the metadata. So again, very, very similar to what we saw in Outlook. And we'll get the same sort of status bar at the top. Here we can see the risk level, and we get the same statistics, metadata detected, and the detailed report. Excuse me. So we can then clean the document, and then once we get an option to save the report, so we can actually save that in HTML format. Which I'll do. And then we get prompted with the track changes, so I'll accept those. Okay, and so just so you know, so we have now a clean document, but it doesn't automatically overwrite the original document because you may just want to create a copy to share with someone else. So you can, so you have to save the document before closing the application. So you can, so by default it goes to the original file name, and you can overwrite the existing document if you want, but I'm going to save this to my desktop, and I'm going to add a suffix to it to -clean, so I know it's the cleaned copy. We'll click save. Document is successfully saved. I'm just going to remove that from the. So that's that document cleared. And if we click on create edit profiles, this just lets us view the actual cleaning profiles themselves. Now there's lots of cleaning actions here, so we can see the profiles default high and low, the ones that were out the box. And if we expand this, we can see the metadata, and you'll see there's lots of metadata that can be cleaned. And if we drill down to these arrows, we can see metadata within the built-in properties. So things like author, last saved by. So there is a lot of metadata here. You can see what the cleaning actions are on those different metadata types. Okay, so I'm just going to head to my desktop, And this is the report that I created earlier. So I just want to show you this. So here's where we can view that. So that's saved. If ever we refer back to it, and we can see the metadata that was in a document before it was cleaned. So that's a really useful feature. And we've got the cleaned copy of the document here. So if I right click this, you actually get a Windows Explorer integration. So we get this option to process with Metadact. So I'm going to select that, and that will load the document up into Metadact and get an option to analyze. And here we can see that the risk level is now green. So that's the cleaned copy of the document. And it's as we would expect. All that risky metadata is now gone. So that is the desktop application, and it's very intuitive and a useful feature for cleaning documents outside of email. Any questions at all on the Metadact desktop application?
Can I have multiple profiles?
Yes, so you can. So out of the box, we have default high and low. So default contains our default recommended settings. High will clean more metadata, and low will clean less metadata. And it may be that you have additional profiles or ones that your sort of IT department have created, sort of customized for your firm. So yes, you can have more than one profile, and you can, if you've been given the rights to do it by the administrator, you can create your own personal profiles as well.
Okay, so I could have one, for instance, for court documents, because the courts want certain things cleaned out, but they want certain things left in. So I could have one created for courts and use that.
Yes, so you would create it here. And you base it on an existing profile. And here we have our court profile here. And then you can go ahead and customize that. Just delete that. So yeah, so yes, we can do that if we choose to. Any other questions, or so we've covered a fair bit about the desktop application and the add-in. No, it sounds like that's it for the question. So thank you very much for attending today, and I hope you found it useful.